thank you for stopping by. I have a little bit to share with you, but truly the the reason I am doing a video today is because I dressed up. I had to dress up. So for anybody that's new, be prepared that this channel is not necessarily one where you are going to learn something step by step, but I hope that it's a channel that you're inspired to embrace your quilting life, stitching life, no matter how it unfolds, because it's like a barnyard full of chickens being chased by an Australian Shepherd. Yeah, maybe that's what it's like in here. I am taking my cousin-in-law. Is that what you call? It's my cousin's wife. It was her birthday this last week, and so I'm taking her out for a birthday lunch to here near us is an awesome food cart location that has a huge building in the center where the food carts are kind of all around it, and there's wide variety of choices. You can choose vegan, you can choose meat, you can choose any kind of ethnic dish you might want, and then there's tables inside the kind of post and barn type building where you can eat your lunch. So I'm taking her there for a birthday lunch. Just her and I wanted it just to be her and I, so we could be two friends talking about life updates. We both have very busy families. She has 3 daughters from, like 18 down to 13-ish. And so they're very, very busy. But I know I'm going to pay for this lunch date with my cousin. Because a few years ago, I invited his wife to go with me to see Straight No Chasers, which is an a cappella group that was performing here in Portland, and they're one of my favorites. So you can go on YouTube and Google and listen to them. They're one of my favorites. But yeah, so I invited my cousin's wife rather than him, and that didn't go over well because he was a fan, and so I know this lunch date might stir up some stuff. But I love his wife. I love his wife. So I kind of cleaned up and I put makeup on for, like, I don't think I've actually done the full makeup thing since maybe December of 2019. but I feel like Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang. Yes, I feel kind of beautiful today, and so I thought I better do a video, take advantage. Are you laughing at me? I can hear some of you laughing at me. Well, I'm enjoying my Polar Orange Vanilla seltzer water. And I do know that many of you are waiting. If you are new to the channel, let me explain that I have been working on a table runner that literally sent me off the edge of quilting sanity. What I think is I have not been stretching, and I think you have to really think about this as a quilter. I have not been stretching my quilting muscle, which is in between here. and that is reading and interpreting patterns and doing a lot of mini cutting, or a lot of cutting. So this was fantastic opportunity for the next step might be wanting to cut out my swoon blocks for my French general quilt. Mostly handwork around here and a lot of quilting to be done. So actually I haven't been like piecing on a machine in quite a while, but I wanted to empty this particular project bag and said, oh, I have the embroidery all done, so I might as well just put the thing together and get it off of the pile. It was the most challenging quilt process that I have been in a very long time. For one thing, as I say, do as I tell you, not as I do. I did not read the full instructions. I went step by step. And you have to understand that each designer they can't design a pattern that fits everyone's learning style. They pretty much go to their own. I'm just guessing here that it makes sense to them, and so it's gonna make sense. What I found out in this process was that I have a challenging way of looking at life. I'm kind of a big picture or a global thinker kind of person. And so, like when I read, I don't read word for word in a book. I don't know how it works, but I read fast because I am skimming and taking sentence or paragraph bites. I don't even know how to explain it. I do know that I discovered when I was reading the Harry Potter series that doesn't work so well. No, because I kept having to go back when I reach a section. I go, who the heck is that? And what just happened? And I'd have to go back 2 pages and then read word for word because I was missing something. So you can see what a challenging student I might have been in school. This is a pattern you have to really read as intended, and I did not. And I am telling you, I used my seam ripper more than I have used it in 2 years. For a table runner, mind you. But what I learned about myself, which was quite pleasing to me, that even at my age, you can still learn, and that you realize who you are isn't a slam dunk. It is still evolving, and I don't know how to really explain it clearly. See, I'm starting to go off in that tangent, but COVID has really enhanced who I am in a positive way. And what I mean by that is I have discovered more patience. I was never a patient person. No, I'm a pedal to the metal, full force into the wind. I mean, I am a product of 2 parents that were at 45-degree angles into the wind their entire lives. And so there's just, I am a product of that. But COVID taught me that there might be other ways to be. And how I can explain this is in years past, when I came upon a quilting, just as an example, a quilting project that just drove me crazy. I didn't understand the pattern. I made too many mistakes. I would bundle that up in process, and it would go to one or two of my stitchy friends, my quilty friends, for them to keep and do. I never wanted to see it again. And in fact, last time I was at Pocket Robin's house this month, or actually it's last month because we're now into September, my bed at her house actually had a quilt on it that was a result of that exact process. It's a beautiful quilt. Oh my gosh, it was a beautiful quilt. And when I was in bed looking at it, I thought, wow, it was just I can't figure it out. I'm not into it. I am giving it to somebody else. And then it got done. And it's a beautiful quilt. But in COVID, a couple of things happened. One was you realized, one, you couldn't just go out and buy anything you wanted. Either places were closed, limited hours, limited product because of distribution. You were alone a lot, and you didn't want to just lackadaisical throw something away because literally, I mean, remember I showed you those end of the roll toilet papers that had like 4 or 5 sheets left on them in a basket? You never know when that might be your last roll. And I just heard today that Costco is limiting now the number of items you could purchase of any one of those types of products. So it's the same with quilting fabric. I am so grateful for my stash, but at the same time, I know that it's limited and the price is going up. I mean, $14, $15 a yard, and you get why it's going up, but it's just, so I guess what I'm saying here is, even though this project was a bugger, oh my gosh, and I threw several tantrums. Luckily, no one was here to see them because they're not very pretty when you're my age. And, but I was quite proud of myself that I reinvented the project. I didn't give up on it, and I got the top done. Of course, what I can say to you is it does not look exactly like the pattern was intended, because naturally I cut it up. And one of the several of you gave this suggestion, which I am so going to incorporate into my life. I did not even consider that, and it makes so much total sense, is that when you have a pattern that has the cutting and piecing instructions for 2 or 3 different projects within the pattern, which we love because it gives us more opportunity, that you should, the one you're making, you should highlight in one color, and you can highlight the other one in a different color, so that all of that writing, that those run-on sentences make sense. It was genius. I thought, oh, I am doing that from now on. Just taking, I have whole sets of highlighters, highlighting all of the instructions that pertain to one project within the pattern, and then a different color for another project. I did not do that. And so because of that, one of you is going to get a pristine pattern. Well, it does have little check marks on it in pencil of the pattern that I used. And this is an absolutely fabulous, fabulous pattern. I mean, the product, what I could say, the instructions were not fabulous for me, but I know my friend Dale would have just it would have made total sense to her. So I can't diss the pattern at all. I can just say for me it was challenging, but whoever gets this can highlight it. And included in it are 2 of the transfer-ease pieces that I had not done, but I did put on transfer-ease. So just so you know, all you have to do when you get this is peel this off, the paper back off. You just peel it off like that. And the piece with the printed pattern on it, you just stick on the fabric you want to embroider, and then you embroider through the transfer-ease. And you want to be sure, like it's best to use like a DMC because they're color fast. And then you run it underwater and rub it, and the transfer-ease just melts away off of it, and then you let it dry. So I've included 2 already on transfer-ease in this pattern. So anyone that is interested in this giveaway, please in the comments put harvest. Use the word harvest in the instructions, and I'll get this out to you. I will put when I do announce the winner, I will put my email address in the description box so you can contact me. Pay attention when you do a quilt that is a kit from a long time ago, because you have limited fabric available. And so I did have to add a piece of fabric, and ultimately what I got done was a beautiful table runner. And now I'm going to layer this and quilt it. I'm proud that I hung in there. I loved it enough to not just throw it away. And you can see that in looking at it, it looks like the pattern, but what ended up happening was I couldn't figure it out. I just was going crazy and I couldn't figure it out. So what I ended up doing was, quilters know measurement. So I ended up doing the table runner off of this picture. I said, okay, I need a piece this big here, I need a piece this big here, and so I need strips here, and so I stopped using the directions. I'm sorry, Kathy, I'm so sorry. And I started piecing my table runner off of this photograph. And then I wanted to, so what I did was I lined my blocks, my embroidered blocks, were lined with Pellon SF101, and then I ironed under 1/4 of an inch, and I machine stitched it down. First I machine stitched the rickrack on it with a light colored thread so it wouldn't show, and then when I put it on the block, I buttonhole stitched with black thread, so you can't even tell that there was another stitch under there. Where there's a will, there's a way. So this week I am going to be layering this and quilting it, because I would like to take this to retreat. Well, depending on how, I don't think I'm not going to bind it in a traditional way. So depending on how I do that, whether I take it to retreat or not. So remember, anyone who's interested in this pattern, plus the 2 transfer-ease, and it'll give you an opportunity to try transfer-ease, just put harvest in the comments. Okay. It literally took me 2 days, 3 days to make a freaking table runner. I just couldn't believe it. But thank goodness, because you know what it's like to use one of these on rickrack by hand. Thank goodness. One of the gals in my quilt group, Nancy, in the Fabric Stalkers, turned me on to this Wahl, W-A-H-L, and it is it's So Wonderful Dreams from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, the travel trimmer. And so it's like a mini shaver, and this thing kept my sanity, because I did more ripping out than I did sewing, let me tell you. But I didn't give up. I didn't give up. I really, who am I? It's not, I always think time is so precious, so why waste it on something that's giving you so much frustration? But there was something else that I was learning that to me was worth the effort. And I like thinking that I'm a much more patient individual, and that I don't just throw in the towel either. So there you go. So what is today? What is today going to look like besides my lunch date, which I cannot wait for? Today is a selvage pincushion day, so I'm going to talk about that. But first I wanted to show you something. My friends, the Twisted Sisters, who all live up in Washington, are fabulous quilters, just fabulous quilters. And it was sad this last year, for the first time ever, we didn't get to gather together at the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show, which is where I met them for the first time. And they had been coming for over 20 years. But one of the things I learned from them was about backing a quilt. And when I was getting down the fabric for my selvage pin cushions, I discovered this. So this is a fleece throw. You know, they go to like TJ Maxx or Ross, and on, I think it was, I don't know if it's just the same now, but on Tuesdays they'd have like senior discount day, and they would go buy fleece blankets and use them as backings for quilts. Really. And so I had bought this one. It's 50 by 60, so it's kind of a great baby quilt size. And I'm going to use this on the back of a grandson quilt that I will be making in my future. But I just wanted to pass on that clever idea by the Twisted Sisters. Yeah. So, selvages. Let's talk about selvages. Selvages I keep in a project box, all by themselves. To make selvages really worth keeping, and some of these are not worth keeping, so I'll be purging them out, is you need at least 1.5 inches off the selvage. And most quilters, until I started collecting selvages, I was cutting like right to the edge of the selvage. So they're not usable really. But you need about 1.5 inches off your selvage, because you want a little bit of the color and a little bit of the writing. Now this selvage is a lot bigger because it was cut off the back, a backing fabric. But selvages over the years have become quite beautiful, if that's, yeah, selvages are beautiful. But what I learned from Jen Kingwell out of Australia is that all of these colored dots that you see on selvages are the number of dye and color lots that were used to create the fabric. So in this particular one, which is Walking on Sunshine, there were 11 different colors used to create that. And you know, when you look at it, you think, oh, there's just 3. But no, there were 11 different shades used in this. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what goes into fabric, and it also helps you look, if you want complementary or opposites of collecting fabric for a particular quilt, you can use the selvage to do that. In current years, manufacturers have realized that quilters are hoarders, and we hoard everything that has to do with fabric. And so they started making selvages that were clever. And so like this one is a Charlie Harper and Nurture, and it has a little elephant on it. And so that little piece is awesome. I mean, this selvage says, "Love the earth." Awesome. So what am I going to do with these selvages? I'm going to weed through them because oh gosh, this one is really cute. This was made in Japan, and it's a basic gray, Max and whiskers, and so it has someone's pets all in the selvage. So the selvage is so darn cute. It's so darn cute. I'm going to go through the selvage box, and I'm going to make pincushions. And the way I'm going to do this is I cut out the size I want. And so I want a base. So I cut out a 5-inch square. I buy this plain fabric, muslin. Oh my gosh. Sometimes the words, huh? Muslin. I buy it by the bolt, because if you buy fabric by the bolt, like from Joann's, at least they used to, give you 40% off right off the top when you're buying the whole bolt. And I use a lot of muslin. So I cut a strip of muslin, and then I cut it into 5-inch squares. So I have this whole pile. So it's going to be like a chain going on. And then I'm going to kind of go through all of these selvages, and I'm going to just strip onto this muslin and sew them. And I want to catch a little bit of the color, and you want to start from your bottom so that you don't cut off or sew off. Let's see how I want to do that. Yeah. So I'm going to leave a little bit on the bottom. And I'm going to just sew it. It's not like, this is going to be not like precision piecing. It's, you know, because it's going to work out for whatever you do. So I'm just going to sew this on. So see, I just sewed the strip along the bottom. And then whatever I pick next, if I wanted to make it more complementary in color, I would pick another one. Now you're all going to be salvage collectors, huh? And the great thing about this is that you don't have to, like, be exact at this point. You're just going to be whack-a-doodling it off. So now I have 2 selvages. You can see how this is not going to take very long. I mean, it's not going to take long, but on top of that, it is not going to be, it's not going to make a big dent in your salvage pile. And with salvages, you know, you just don't have to be real crazy. You want to leave a little bit of the fabric. That's why you want 1.5 inches, because you want a little bit of the print showing. Oh, this is cute. The good thing about this is that you don't have to it's no exact, you know, no 1/4 inch, no cutting is exact. You get to just whack. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm just looking for selvages that are complementary. So here's my first pincushion top already created, and then when I turn it over, all I'm going to do is cut along the edge of that muslin, because I know that's the size I want. And you can, you know, sew them all together and then take them over to your cutting table and cut them out with your rotary cutter and ruler to make them so perfect, because, you know, you love perfection and it makes you crazy to do it this way. There is so many ways to do this. So there is my first pincushion top. I will have G insert a photograph of this finished pincushion. So I'm going to do it exactly like a pillow, like you would sew a little pincushion pillow. I'm going to pick out fabric for the backing and right sides together, sew it around, fill it up with a combination of walnut shells and polyfill, stitch it closed, and then it's going to have a perfect little pincushion that has selvages from quilts either made or my friends made. And it's just a real a workhorse of a pincushion. You know, there's nothing you can do wrong with this pincushion. It's Selvages. Okay, thank you for stopping by. I was able to finish that table runner, and I'm so happy that one of you might want to challenge yourselves with it, and you probably won't have near the issues I did, and that maybe you'll start collecting Selvages. Thank you for coming by. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and you take care and stay healthy out there.